There's a lot of symptoms that we experience when our digestive system's not working properly. So obvious ones would be constipation, diarrhea, bloating, and then acid reflux, maybe hiatus hernia. But also things that many people don't realize is your moods are affected, how nice your skin is, your mental clarity. Those are all affected by how well your digestive system's working and how much fermentation is happening in there. So one of the rules of digestion is that it's easy to have your digestive system not working properly, and it's also pretty simple to get it working again. It responds quite quickly. Your body wants to balance itself and it wants to work. So this is how it works. This is how assimilation happens. So your digestive system, your stomach, with a healthy amount of digestive enzyme to digest your foods, and being that you've got a healthy amount of digestive enzyme, you have a healthy layer of mucus on the outside of your stomach. And so your proteins and your fats and your carbohydrates, they're all broken down and they pass down through the small intestine. And we start absorbing some of that nutrients up through the portal vein into the liver. And those nutrients eventually start working their way through the large intestine. And we also absorb nutrients from the large intestine. So it all comes into the liver, and your liver sorts it out, the good and the bad, because there's fermentation chemicals that come in there, and there's negative things from your diet like coffee and alcohol and things like that. So your liver deals with all that and creates bile out of the negative part, which I'll talk about later. And then the good nutrients wind up going into the bloodstream, through the kidneys, and into your lymph system where it starts filtering. And that's how the nutrients transfers throughout your entire body. It's a miraculous system. So that's if it's working properly. Then come the 9 stomach busters, which are coffee, chocolate, alcohol, smoking, salt, sugar, regular tea, preservatives, and artificial sweeteners. Now most people, when they grow up and they get a bit older, they're not doing all those things anymore, but most of us did them all when we were young, or close to all. And they really negatively affect the stomach. And we could add prescription drugs and stress in there, because those really affect the stomach as well. So after doing some of these or all of these, the stomach just starts becoming weakened and it produces less digestive enzyme. There's maybe a few reasons of why that happens, but I won't get into, but it plain just does. Okay, so now that the stomach is weak, it's been shocked, and it has less digestive enzyme and it has less mucus to protect itself, then we eat something like a piece of meat, a piece of cheese, a cup of coffee, some chocolate. Many foods are acidic, and it quickly increases digestive enzyme, but now we don't have the protection. So the stomach is a muscle, and when it's irritated, it spasms. So when it spasms and tightens, it pushes the solution up into our esophagus where there's no mucus, and that's why we experience acid reflux. And this is the beginnings of hiatus hernia and a lot of other problems that come from poor digestion. So we're just starting to now feel the effects of poor digestion. So another issue with poor digestion is the inability to digest proteins. So when you eat something with protein in it, which is almost everything has some protein in it, the proteins now start passing through the small intestine and they haven't been totally broken down. So they're called protein chains. And these protein chains then are absorbed through the portal vein into the liver, and the liver is kind of shocked by that because it's now getting a chunk of something that it was supposed to be totally liquefied and broken down. And that shows up as food allergies. So we're starting to feel it more now. Now, not everybody experiences this, but they experience, other issues. The undigested proteins and fats and, fiber, you're not going to digest that anyways. But the debris, the waste, the matter starts accumulating in the intestine because things are a bit more sluggish now because you're not digesting as well. The breakdown gases from undigested protein are the worst for fermentation. So those are chemicals that burn blue. And there's 78 chemicals that are produced from the rotting fermentation that happens in the large intestine. And so by this point, you're starting to feel a little bit fatigued and maybe poor mental clarity, and you might start aching in places, but overall you're not feeling as well as you did before when your stomach was working well. And one more thing I'll mention here is that for people that just gobble food down and they never chew it, it just adds to the problem of breakdown gases from fermenting food. So now that we've got a lot of breakdown gases happening in the large intestine, and they're being absorbed up into the liver, and some, of course, go into the atmosphere, but the liver is absorbing all this, the nutrients and the bad gases and things from your diet like coffee and alcohol and things that it doesn't really like, and it's becoming more and more toxic. Now, one amazing thing about the liver is it takes these breakdown gases and these toxic elements, and it turns them into bile. And bile is stored in the gallbladder. But when the liver gets so overrun with toxicity that it can't neutralize it fast enough, it starts sending bile down that's hot. And bile helps us emulsify fat, and it helps speed up transit time in digestion. But when the breakdown, or when the bile is hot and it hits the gallbladder, it starts irritating it. And it starts irritating the inner lining of the intestine, small and large. And that starts showing up as diseases like Crohn's and colitis and spastic bowel and duodenum ulcers. So serious problems. So you're really starting to feel it now. And if it gets bad enough with undigested food and a lack of fiber, that the colon can actually stretch up to 10 inches across. Imagine that. And you can have a hole the size of your little finger through the middle that this mass is moving. And it's very unhealthy for that mass to be sitting in there for weeks and months and years. Imagine what turkey dinner would smell like in your garbage can if it sat there for a couple weeks. And you've got debris sitting in here for a long period of time. And as this toxicity hits the bloodstream, the liver is the first filter. It's your first stage filter, and it can handle a lot of toxicity. And then the kidneys is the second stage, and then your third stage is your whole lymph system. And your lymph system can hold a lot of toxicity. And your spleen is on the tail end of the lymph system. And your spleen is so toxic that if you get that punctured in an accident, like, it could kill you. They have to take that out now to save your life. The toxicity, we have microorganisms, and we have chemicals, and we have debris in the blood that starts going beyond the lymph system and the spleen, and it literally starts ripping apart your muscles and your nerves. So this is where your serious health conditions come from. And so you do not want that to happen. So your fibromyalgia and your muscular dystrophy and many conditions like that. So the question is do you think by eating a low-fat muffin and going to the gym, once or twice a week and taking a multivitamin, it's somehow going to reverse this problem? Like, not a chance. You've got to go to the cause of the problem. So we look at this, and the question comes now is, do you think there's a spleen pill that you could take to stop, the debris from passing through the lymph system? No, there really isn't. And now there's things we can do for the kidneys. We could cleanse them, but the problem is still there. So we can go back up here and we can help the liver work better. Dandenine roots, and there's cleanses that you can do for your liver. But there's so much pollution coming into your liver that it wouldn't matter how well we cleaned it, the problem hasn't gone away. So then we say, well, gosh, we could do more fiber and enemas and colonics and things to help the colon get cleaned out. But the problem is the undigested proteins and fats are still coming through from the digestive system. So we have to go back up here and look at the stomach, and we have to get the stomach working. That's the only way you can really reverse digestive problems. So we have to get rid of the 9 stomach busters. And a lot of people think, well, yeah, but I only have 1 cup of coffee a day, or I only have 1 piece of chocolate a day. The thing is about the stomach is that once it's weak, it's really easy to keep it weak. So there's 2 things that need to happen. We need to quit irritating it, and we have to start building it. So this gets into where the Sunrider foods come in, is because it's foods that the Chinese took 5,000 years to figure out how to nourish the body and build it and strengthen it. So if we stop irritating it and weakening it, and we start focusing on building it, we can start really improving the digestive system. So feed your body with foods that strengthens and balances it. So regeneration formulas from Sunrider would be Fortune Delight. It's a beverage which I've talked about in the basic program on my website. And it helps actually break down fatty foods in your digestive system. And it helps cleanse toxicity from your body and your glands. And Kali is another food like Fortune Delight, but it's a little bit stronger. And Fortune Delight is high in electrolytes where Kali isn't, so it's nice to have a little bit of both. But both of them are cleansing foods that are safe for anyone to drink on a daily basis. Sun Care is a food that balances blood sugar. So it's chrysanthemum flour and stevia, and that really makes a difference with your cravings. So it helps you quit eating as much sugar, and it also helps nourish the pancreas, which helps produce enzymes, which helps in digestive. NuPlus is a very concentrated, nutritionally dense food. It's like a pound of food with the fiber and the water taken out. And that's so nourishing. And that really helps with cravings for salt and sugar and fatty foods. And VitaShake is just a little heavier than NuPlus. Instead of 15 grams per serving, it's 25 grams. 4 grams of protein versus 3 grams. But it's just a wonderful food. And there's also a prebiotic in it, which helps feed the friendly bacteria in the large intestine. Now the foods that actually build and strengthen the body systems is quinary. And quinary is made up of 5 foods, so quin like 5. So AD is the food for digestive. So it nourishes and strengthens and gets the stomach working properly, producing its hydrochloric acid and producing its mucus. LS is for your circulatory system, to nourish that and put the elasticity back in your blood vessels and tone the heart. Conco is for respiratory. Alpha 20 is for the immune system, and PA is for your nervous system, glandular system, reproductive system. So if you're nourishing your systems, especially the digestive system, you can reverse this process of illness quite quickly and get your stomach working properly. So while we're on the topic of digestion, there's 4 other products that I would like to mention quickly. The large intestine is a dark, germ-infested, moist place, and there's a lot of bacteria in there. And so you want a healthy amount of friendly bacteria to compete with that bad bacteria. Vitadophilus is a very high quality product that has a apopectin coating that won't break down in your stomach acid, but opens up in the alkaline environment of your large intestine. It's very important. You'll digest so much better once you have your friendly bacteria in check. Evergreen is a very concentrated chlorophyll, and chlorophyll helps cleanse the digestive tract of bacteria. And it's also very soothing and calming to the digestive tract, and also slightly cleansing. So it can also really help calm down the stomach when it's not working very well. You could just take 1/3 of a vial and pour that into a hot beverage, or a cool beverage for that matter, once a day or twice a day for a while until you're feeling better. I've had 1/3 of a vial of this every morning for the last 20 years, and I just love the way it makes me feel. It's also very rich in oxygen and helps your body assimilate oxygen better. AD is a food that I mentioned before, and it's in the quinary formula, and you can buy it separately, and you can have a few capsules of this 2 or 3 times a day, or before a meal or after a meal, just to help build that stomach for a while until you're feeling better. And Fibertone is a fiber product that's very gentle, and it helps massage the bowel and get debris moving, and it also absorbs toxicity like a sponge.